I am Prisca Nwokorie, reaching out to you in a moment with Sister Prisca. I want to ask you a simple question. What are you avoiding at this very moment? What are the things causing you sleepless nights? Things that have caged you to the extent you are not able to move forward and you remain still wherever you are. Sometimes we are the cause of things that happen to us, not because we purposely choose it, but because there are tiny things that come up our own human nature and overtake the confidence we have in us, the courage to do things the way they should be done. And because of that, we see ourselves stuck without either moving forward or moving backward would be more risky. And that one thing is called fear. Fear is something nobody should overlook because it doesn't announce its presence whenever it comes to us. When fear comes to us, it destabilizes everything we have already programmed. You may come across a student who has studied very well, prepared fully for his or her own examination, but at that right time, when fear sets in, forgetfulness will now set in, confusion will now set in, disorder, and many other things. Have you come across somebody who, in different forms, may have projected a lot of things to do, but fear of failure will now set in? A businessman who has already had a lot of experiences in his own career, but just because he wants to make one step forward from his own existing position, now decide to take one step. But when fear comes in, it now makes everything look as if he has been unprepared. Don't underestimate the power of fear in your life, but you should never allow fear to take over you. Fear comes unannounced, and when it comes, its consequence, every one of us know it. And when that fear comes, it disguises and gives it different names. Fear comes to us, but it never remains with one single name. It always attaches itself to that thing very precious to us. It could come with another name: fear of failure, fear of succeeding, fear of rejection, and many others that I am going to explain to you. I would want you to identify what fear has been blocking you from moving forward or even continue with what you are doing. That fear can cause us a lot of things. That fear can cause us a lot that nothing can repair it except if God's grace intervenes in us. And God's grace can intervene in us in different forms, either through suggestions from those around us, either through prayers. It could come even into us as a kind of courage to continue, no matter what the decision or no matter what the outcome would be like. So, dear friends, I want to list out to you some things or some ways fear can jeopardize our success, or ways fear can come into us and leave us disorganized, irrespective of our own pursuit, irrespective of where we find ourselves. Fear is not a respecter of anyone. Fear does not fear whether you are a president, whether you are a steward, whatever your profession may be like. Fear is never afraid of itself. Fear. And because of it, whenever fear comes into you, you will see yourself who have been so courageous will now begin to act in a very childish way, or sometimes act like somebody who is confused. That is the reason sometimes people ask us, are you really yourself? What is happening to you? Because they notice that there is something different that has entered into you that is now making you to act differently from the way people know you to act. And these things are the following. So then, friends, we have to check in these forms that fear approaches us. When fear of failure comes to us, we now find ourselves, what if I try and it didn't work out? Because we have come across a lot of persons who have invested almost everything they had, who have done the best they could, but success was a little bit far away from them. And because of that fear of failure, many people find it difficult to give life an attempt, and they would prefer to remain where they are. That's the reason sometimes you get an African proverb, or probably while discussing with someone, they would say, if you tell a poor man what he needs to do in order to become rich, he will tell you that he is comfortable in his present situation. Not because he wanted to choose poverty, but because to move from that his state of poverty to towards something that he desires or dreams to become will require him a lot of stress, a lot of preparation, and because of it, he will deny himself that privilege. Another is fear of success. Fear of success could come in form of pressure. It could come in form of responsibility, visibility, or equally change. We come across people who, if they succeed, they will now tell you that they are carrying a lot of responsibilities. Family, friends, or even from people who can come to ask for a favor. And many, because of that selfish mindedness, that fear to succeed will now block them because they don't want to take responsibility that other things have been cropping up. They will prefer a solution or situation where they will sit comfortably. I don't want to be disturbed. I want to live my own life without too much of disturbance. Because of it, they are afraid to work for success. Another is fear of rejection. Many a time we come across people who are afraid of rejection. You come across a lot of people and they look at themselves as not good enough for a particular thing. Being not good enough will now begin to make you find a lot of reasons why you should discard yourself, reasons why you should appear inferior, even to in front of people who are even lesser prepared or even intelligent than you do. And because of that, you are not really sure about yourself, about what you are doing. And because of it, that fear of rejection. Many times we may come across individuals who will tell you, I have never failed before. No one has ever rejected me. Sometimes that's self conviction about I am too beautiful or I am too prepared, and there is nobody who can see me that can say no to what I request. Because of that fear of rejection, they will always now put themselves backwards. Some people, even with their first or their first class degree, may still find it difficult even to get job, not because they cannot prove their certificates, but because when competition sets in, they are afraid that they may not succeed. And because of it, it will bring a little shame on their own person, as if with my first class I could not get job, and it is this person who is with lower grade that was able to get job. Sometimes we may see people, they might be so beautiful that our eyes could no longer resist them. And we now see that in face or in front of those people who appear to be too beautiful, the ugly ones may be chosen. Not because there is something bad with that physical beauty, but there are some things, even those with ugly faces or ugly statures will be able to do for you that those who appear so perfect will not be able to give you. And because of that, we come across a lot of beautiful people or people even with their first class. They cannot get a job, but those with lower grade will now begin to do the things which we had already convinced ourselves that we are better off. Another is fear of judgment. Many a times, a lot of people worry about what their friends, their families, or even their co workers or even strangers will think about them. And that is the reason they continue engaging themselves in self evaluation. When you say them with their friends or with their family, they will continue to ask you, what do people think I am? What do people, what is their own impression towards me? And that not being enough, we always appear or look inferior whenever we come across other people because that self confidence is no longer in us. Another is fear of embarrassment. Many a times we may come across people who, because they do not want to be embarrassed, either publicly or by their own co workers or even by their own friends, will now decide to lock themselves up and continue to live a kind of lonely and solitude life. Remember, sometimes there are solitude or loneliness that is acceptable, but when it gets to the extreme, it is very bad. A kind of solitude you may need will be a kind of quietness you may need in the presence of God. Time to pray, time to reflect, time to think about your next move. But it is not the kind of isolating yourself from the society, from those around you. Always know that it is always better for us to walk in unity, for us to walk in the midst of people. Never isolate yourself because you feel that others may say things that you do not like or kind of embarrass you in the public. Sometimes there are some embarrassments that will help us to wake up and become more engaged and even become more useful. There are some forces we need to apply before certain change will now come into us. Let us not forget that for us to move from where we are towards another positive step, we need that force. We need that conviction in us in order to make that move. Sometimes the fear of criticism makes us not to progress. Avoiding puts someone out there in the form that people might begin to attack them. Sometimes we may find someone who may have made a very simple speech, and in that simple speech, he may have made a lot of questioning, a lot of criticism will now arise. And the person who may have talked will keep explaining and re explaining himself till he is exhausted. And still, those listening, people will continue with their endless criticism just because of one single mistake or one comment that person may have made. Because of that criticism, many people are afraid of being criticized and they will allow fear to suppress them from moving forward. Other things we can still find out is fear of disappointment. Many people have faced a lot of disappointment. It could be in their marriages, it could be in from their own children, from their own places of work, or even in their own struggle or their own eagerness towards making a change. And because of those disappointment, they might now decide to stay on their own, whatever the consequence or the result will be. They will prefer to maintain their own person. And just because of that, we now see the consequence of it. Those disappointments may have started just because we were unable to say, I am sorry, something that would have taken you just a second to repeat. And when people think about their own ego, their own pride, they will now tell you, do you know who I am? Do you know whom you are talking to? And with all those things, by the time we now go back into ourselves to reflect on the things, the harm we have done to ourselves because of our comments towards just a passing situation, then we will now become afraid. Other forms of fear will come as fear of making the wrong decision, fear of regret, fear of uncertainty, fear of change, fear of losing something, fear of conflict, fear of hurting someone, fear of being vulnerable, fear of responsibility, or even fear of expectation. Some might be fear of being seen, some become fear of outgrowing people. These things and many others are the things that deprive us from moving forward and even finding our own bearing. And sometimes our parents or are too overprotective about their own children just because they wouldn't want their own children to participate in some of the school activities. They would deny their children of that privilege because they have seen other mistakes from other children and they will tell you prevention is better than cure. Always remember that one man's food might be another man's own poison. You don't know where your own fortune is waiting for you. So do not allow the mistakes of others to affect your own possibility towards increasing. Always give yourself reasons to stand up, reasons to move ahead. Never allow fear to take away the joy of your own living. Waiting can help you to think back and reflect. And whenever you are doing anything, always put God first. Ask Him to direct your thoughts and your mind. Go to people whom you know can teach you better. Most times, it is better for you to learn from those who have had experiences, people who have failed and are able to regain themselves. When they advise you from the mistakes they have already made, and they will tell you, dear friend or dear child, don't make the mistake I had made. But when you go to people who never make any mistake, they will tell you, I have never made any mistake in my life. I have never had any bad record. You can see for yourself. They have nothing much to give you other than the theory of life. Go to people who have experienced life in its different forms and have got that transformation. When they talk to you, you know that it is truth that is coming from the depth of their own being. Never be afraid to let people know who you are. Because when people know you, they'll be able to offer you the right help that you need. Be loyal, be friendly with people, be humble, be kind, be loving, and be generous. Always remember that prayer is the first thing you need to have. It protects you from other embarrassment. It protects you from other fears. It protects you from every other fall that you may have. Because when you have God with you, you'll be able to skate through other deadlines. You'll be able to improve in your poor planning. You'll be able to control your distractions. You'll be able to comfort yourself when things are not moving well. You'll be able to correct your bad habits and you'll be able to organize yourself better. With prayer, God can direct you on the rightful persons you need in your life in order to move forward. Avoid comparing yourselves with others. It is very harmful. Your past failure does not determine your continuous failure. It is a lesson, and pick the courage to get the lesson out from it and move forward. Your past success does not determine you will continue to succeed because life is just like a slope. Sometimes you move up, sometimes you move down. But always remember that there is no condition in life that is permanent. Wherever you find yourself tomorrow does not determine where you're going to remain. It might be a stage. Those difficult moments of life might be just a stepping stone towards greater things. Don't be rebellious. Don't allow difficulties to continue to allow you to keep saying no to other possibilities that come to you. So, dear friends, if you have any other contribution towards this topic, you can use the comment section to send them across. We'll continue very soon. Thanks for your time. I am Prisca Nwokorie reaching out to you in a moment with Sister Prisca. Thank you for your time. And if you are new in this very channel, don't forget to subscribe and share this link with others. Recommend it to others. Like our page. And please subscribe so that you get notification when we come online. Thank you for your time, and I wish you a blessed day. God bless you.